We're going out on the video chat this morning with our first of many guests on the Rod Pedersen Show this morning. From TSN690, Joey Alfieri joining us. He is on the Alouettes broadcast. I enjoy him immensely on there. Bonjour, bon matin, Joey. How are things?
Hey, Rod. Thanks for having me. Do you need somebody to fetch you some coffee while you're on the set in Houston?
Yeah. Are you offering? I think it would be a lot of fun. Yes.
I'm offering my services.
Joey, cafe, that's awesome. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, our first ever trip down there. Joey, I bet, I'm going to start right here. I bet it's a lot more fun covering the Montreal Alouettes these days than, about 2 months ago.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we can even go back in the last 5 years. It's been a lot more fun this year. I was expecting a little bit more from them. I picked them before the season to finish in second place in the East. And I half believed the content that I was spewing there, but to see the way the team has come out with attitude and with desire and with just that hunger to win, it's been something to see. And I've been beating this drum, but it's even more impressive when you consider the fact that they have no owner, they have no general manager, and they have an interim head coach. So they've really embraced that underdog role, and it's really been a lot of fun to cover. I mean, they're 4-4 right now. With a little bit of luck, they're 5-3. And if Mother Nature, cooperates a couple weeks ago, I know you might not like hearing this, but they might be 6-2.
Well, okay, so there's a can of worms right there. But it's funny you say interim Khari Jones. Reminds me of Craig Berube. They're introducing him in the rink in St. Louis in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final, and interim head coach Craig Berube. I'm like, he's got him all the way to the Stanley Cup. Take interim off. Khari Jones has to be the head coach because from what I see, Joey, and tell me if I'm wrong, he's the reason for the resurgence of the Alouettes and the restoring of credibility to the franchise. Or have I misread it?
No, I think you're definitely on. You're on the right track there. I think he deserves a lot of credit for the success that the offense and that Vernon Adams has had in particular. He's brought a presence. The guys clearly relate to him. They want to go to battle with him, for him. But let's also, I know this isn't quote unquote cool in CFL circles. But you got to give Kavis Reed some love. I realize that it didn't end, the way he wanted it to here, but he's the one who built this team. He's the one who put the team together. The fact that they went out and got themselves winners, Taylor Loeffler, Patrick Levels, Seontae Evans, Tommy Campbell a couple years ago. He put this team together. So whether you want to give him the credit or not, I know a lot of people in Montreal don't. People have to acknowledge the fact that, yes, he's long gone, but he's the one who put this thing together as well. And so he deserves some credit. But, you've hit the nail on the head with Khari Jones. I think if Mike Sherman is still the head coach, and I don't, I say this with all due respect, but if Sherman's the head coach, I don't think this team is 4-4 through 8 games.
It's Marshall here. Just to comment on Khari Jones, and then you can comment on it afterwards. If they don't make him the head coach by the end of this year, we're going to see the first time an interim coach is the coach of the year in the Canadian Football League. He's the biggest reason, in my view, why they've turned that thing around. And John Bowman, I think, is acting like a defensive coordinator out there as well, and he's playing a remarkable season. That whole team just seems to reflect Khari Jones, just their demeanor. You don't see people over celebrating touchdowns. You don't see people, doing antics in front of the camera. You see a very mature, calm, hardworking, I'm going to get this thing done attitude from that Montreal team. They're a good football team, and I think Khari Jones deserves the credit for most of it.
Yeah, definitely. But I think the tricky thing is, I'm with you. I think Khari Jones should be, the head coach of this football team beyond this season. But it's just, you never know. New owner brings in his general manager, and then the general manager might be forced into keeping Khari Jones just, based on how well they've done so far. If they finish strong, it would be tough to remove him from there. But I'm with you. I think Khari Jones deserves a lot of credit. Bob Slowick, defensive coordinator, deserves a ton of credit too, because the first couple of weeks, everybody was on him about the way the defense had performed. Week 1 against Edmonton, they gave up over 600 yards of offense, and the numbers just continued to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle every single week. So he deserves some credit as well. But yeah, I like the attitude of this team. And I think the coaching staff led by Khari Jones has a lot to do with it. I know people in Calgary aren't going to be thrilled to hear this, but the way that game, even just pregame, the fight that happened before the game, I like that for a team that's been bad for the most part over the last 5 years. You haven't won in McMahon Stadium in a decade. You go in there and you're not going to take crap from anybody. If somebody wants to mouth off to you, you'll take a swing, you'll punch, you'll get punched, and you're not going to back down from anybody. And I think that's big for the psyche of what the Alouettes want to do and what they want to accomplish this year. I think that's big, is that, they send a message to the CFL that we're not going to take crap from anybody. You want to get in our face? Well, get ready to be hit in the mouth figuratively and literally, because we're not going to take it from anybody. And I think that was big. I really do. The stuff that happened pregame, I'm not sure, if Tommy Campbell and Jarner Jones should have been allowed to play in that game, but they definitely sent the messages. No doubt about that.
Joey, it's Derek here. Rightfully so, a lot of the attention is on the field right now because the team is playing very well. But I'm curious, where are we at with ownership, possibility of anybody coming in and getting this team and buying it back from the league?
Yeah, I have no idea. Like I've heard a lot of the same things that have been reported over the last few months.
Yeah.
I've heard all those things, and you hear a bunch of things now. But just with the way this thing is unfolded, I'm not sure what they're waiting for. I really have no idea, unless the commissioner absolutely wants to wait for the end of the season. There's just I can't understand the way this is all unfolded. As of a couple of weeks ago, there's the Lenkov brothers, who were serious contenders. They were, at Molson Stadium. They live in Los Angeles now, but they were at Molson Stadium, taking pictures in the locker room and on the field with players after the game, interacting with players, wearing the Alouettes colors, and, all of a sudden their exclusivity window ends up coming and going, and you haven't heard much from them since then. So I have no idea where we're at with the ownership situation. I guess the league isn't in a hurry, but yeah, I mean, I wish I had a better answer for you, but I can't understand the thought process right now from a league perspective. Why wouldn't you want to get this thing settled as quickly as possible to make sure that you shore up the ownership situation in one of the the big three cities in the country? I'm not sure why they haven't pushed a little harder to get this thing done, but there's been plenty of names that have come and gone in terms of potential ownership, and it hasn't happened. So I don't know if it's going to happen before November. I'm really curious to see the way this thing plays out.
TSN690's Joey Alfieri with us from Montreal this morning on the video chat. Joey, you opened with the rain game, the weather protocol. Obviously, we have our side of it out here. What was it like in Montreal with the Als fans, and even that night, the confusion and so forth?
Yeah, I thought, Rod, there was no way. I'm listening. I'm not in the booth. I'm on the sideline for that game, so I'm getting pelted with rain if we keep going in the rain. So I don't mind any of that. But it just, in my mind, I just couldn't understand how the 1 hour time limit is a hard and fast rule. Like I think if you look at it and you see. You project ahead in the next, 15 minutes to 20 minutes. If after an hour 15, there's not going to be any lightning, there's not going to be any thunder. I don't understand how you don't keep playing that game. I think, as much as you want the rules to be black and white, I think there's got to be some gray area when it comes to that rule. And I'd be saying that if Saskatchewan was on the losing end, and I'd be saying that, I'm saying this now that Montreal came out on the losing end, but it's just, you've seen this season and you saw last week that so much can happen in such a short amount of time. The Alouettes down 11 points with 1:40 left in Calgary. They come back to win. Now they're down 7 points at home against Saskatchewan with 18 minutes left, and they don't get a chance to close that thing out. I mean, I think it's another black eye for the CFL, and it's something that they're going to have to look at, because all the people I spoke to involved with the Players Association said the rule was not applied correctly. Now, I've seen how it's written in the rule book, and from what I'm told, that's not the way the players understood it during negotiations. So it's definitely something that I don't think you can change now, but looking ahead into the offseason, it's something that just can't happen again. If I was, obviously being in the city, once I'm out of the stadium and game's over, I'm looking around and it's hardly raining. I haven't seen any lightning for a while. So I think it can't be 1 hour, hard, fast rule. And I understand the player safety aspect of it, but, if there's more than 7.5 minutes left in the third quarter, you can wait 3 hours to resume this game, but because there's less than 7:30 left in the third quarter, you only wait an hour. The player safety aspect of it doesn't hold water to me. I think it's something they have to look at this winter.
That's something they'll dive into with these two guys when we're done with you. The last one I have for you, Joey, is Touchdown Atlantic Sunday. Alouettes Argos there. I can't wait. I'll be there in Moncton for it. Should be interesting. What's your take on the game, and will we see you there?
I'm not going to be there. And I heard what you guys said, your poll question about the game of the week. I think the Alouettes are must-see TV right now. You don't know what you're going to get. Rain delays, comebacks, double overtime. They've gone to overtime a couple of times this year. Return touchdowns for, return touchdowns against. I think the Owls are must-see TV. And look, the Argonauts are definitely better than they were at the beginning of the season, but this is a game that Montreal has to win. And just with their overall attitude and the way they've approached this year, I really don't think the Owls are one of those teams that's going to take anybody lightly. I really can't see that happening. I think, whether or not Will Standback is going to be available to play, he's missed the last 2 games. I think that's going to be big for the Alouettes if he can play. But still, I think they showed on Saturday night that Jeremiah Johnson can still handle the workload, even at 32 years old. So I'm expecting the Alouettes to pick up where they left off. And at the same time, I know they want to look at one game at a time, but this is a critical 2-game stretch where you're playing in Moncton against the Argonauts, and you're playing at home after the bye week next week against a BC Lions team that struggled as well. So your next 2 opponents have a combined record of 2-15, and good teams do not lose these 2 games. So we have to see, what the Alouettes, come out with. But I'm confident that they're going to be able to get the job done. I don't think that there's going to be any letdown after that big emotional win. I think this is a team that's just too hungry, and I don't think Khari Jones is going to let them take their foot off the pedal.
Should be a lot of fun. Joey, appreciate the time. You do a great job out there. Keep it up, and we'll chat with you in the fall.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.